Hey, what's up, fam? Today, I want to talk to you about sharing your story. I've had a couple people close to me share their desire to share their story through some platform. One of my friends is his fourth time battling with cancer, and also during this time, his wife had mentioned that she wanted to get a divorce, and this friend of mine was there with me during kind of the thick of it, of me getting divorced with Leah. Just kind of rocked my world, and he really kind of was there for me, guided me. And then for him to be going through this and his cancer coming back, it's just a bitch. But he mentioned he wants to write a memoir, and I think for sure, I think we all have a book inside of us that we need to write, even if it's just for our children or just people around us. Look at this, is pretty cool. Birds flying everywhere. Now you know where I live. But I think he was mentioning this stuff, and I got excited. I tend to interrupt my friends just because I don't want to forget what I have to say, because it's so important. That's why I'm fucking recording myself talking. But I just got excited, and I was like, dude, there's so many people that need to hear what you have to say. There's so many people, man, that are struggling with cancer, or their spouse is saying after so many fucking years that they want a divorce because they're not happy. What the fucking hair they get up their ass? There's a lot of guys that need to hear that shit, right? And I have another a client that said she's got like this. She feels so embarrassed because she's got this health and wellness business, and she's struggling with her health right now, and she's got this sickness, I think, that just kind of flares up out of nowhere, and I told her, like, the answer is yes. If you're asking yourself that you need to share your story or how you share your story, the answer is yes. Do it. And more likely it's do it now. Share, document. I look back at the car accidents and the divorce and stuff like that, not just so I have content, right? But that I have more to look back on so that I can piece it together and take some of the hardest times in my life. I don't know if this is a good thing culturally or a bad thing. I don't know. Dang, it's windy. But, we do tend to kind of document our life falling apart. But I think there are people that need to see, since we can remember, everyone enjoys a good comeback story. Good back shot. But those are the stories that inspire us, right? Those are the stories that give us hope for the future, that remind us not to give up. And so I think my recommendation for these people, these friends in my life, my recommendation to them was, document it. Talk to the camera, or if you don't want to, voice record. But have something that you can go back and just remember where you came from. It'll be painful to kind of see it and and be reminded of it for a while, but it's something that you need to kind of go back and find out that, man, this is where I came from. And I'm so glad I didn't give up. I'm so glad I didn't stop believing. So I think people need to hear your story. People need to hear what you have to say. I think you need to have an elevator version of it, right? And I'm glad I learned this in church when I was, turning my life around at age 15. And, you start with the beginning, the middle, and the end, or where you're at now, right? Kind of polarize what was your life like prior, right? What happened? What was the pivotal moment? What was the climax? And then what's different now, right? So with my life is, there's different ones, but I started selling drugs when I was 13 years old, and my life should have been completely different. But luckily, when I was 13, I was selling cocaine to this kid that invited us to a youth group where my life completely changed. And I got introduced to storytelling, where I should have been someone that, should have a crime doc told about them or whatever. I'm a person that gets to tell stories now. I get to work with people that I never thought I'd work with. And, it makes me feel alive. I'm someone that probably should have had, 6 kids with, 7 different women. But luckily, I got married at a very young age, at 20, 21, and had 3 beautiful children. And unfortunately, last October, my spouse said she wanted a divorce. And then again, I was forced to choose. What am I going to do? I can sit here, mope, or I can move forward. I got into 2 car accidents. This all happened within 6 months. The car accidents happened within a month of each other. Both of them got totaled. Both people didn't have insurance. But I got to walk out with my legs working. I started running. I went from running 70 miles a year to running 100 miles a month. And in January of 2025, I ran my first marathon. And it's been the motto of how I live my life, of just putting one foot in front of the other. So far, I've lost 45 pounds. And I'm not done. I want to be I want to be the father that my children think I am. I want to be the father that shows up, because I know they don't just, they need more than a paycheck. They need a father that's present, even if he's bruised, but he's healing. And as I look around in my life right now, I see that the other thing that's needed is spaces for men. And to teach men how to make friends. And to learn to not suffer in silence. I don't think, it depends on your relationship, but I wouldn't share with a woman what you're going through. Yes, and some guys can kind of use it against you, and but you need to test the water, share a little bit, and see how they respond. Do they share it with others? I met this guy yesterday at the bar, really cool dude. But I told him, he was just surprised at my age, how old I was, and then he's like, hey man, have you ever taken a girl home from here, from the bar? And I was like, man, I'm kind of new to this actually. I was married at 20. This dude's 21. And I was like, I really didn't do all this stuff. And then, he went on to tell his friend that he was with. She was kind of like staying away from him because she was trying to pick up some guys. But he was telling her, the guy seemed really cool, right? But he just started sharing the stuff that I just told him, right? And I didn't tell him too much or anything like that. I was just kind of like, man, I'm kind of rusty. He's like, oh man, go talk to that girl. I was like, hey bro, just, what would you say? What would you do? I'm just there to chill, people watch. I'm not really trying to get into anything crazy, pay attention to how do people respond? What do they say? What do they do? Don't believe what they say. Watch them. Watch what they do. I'm trying to teach my son that. All right? I'm trying to teach my son that he can't just believe what people say. He needs to pay attention to their actions. But yeah, share your story, man. Write it down. Beginning, the middle, and the end. I have some stickers. I need some money. I'll probably try and sell them somehow on this, but I have some stickers that say, love the story you tell. And it's just a saying that I really just kind of resonate with. It's kind of become my own. But this is getting pretty long. Let's stop yapping and just encourage you, share your story, write it down. You'll never know where you're going to go back and use it. I think honestly, it's just we need to be sharing our stories more often because they help us connect. They help us grow closer to each other in a world where we're so fucking divided. So, share your story. At some point, I don't think the end of my story is quite done. I think I still have a lot of things to accomplish to give myself credibility, proof of concept. But I'd love to write a book, do a documentary, and yeah, you have to share your unique perspective. No one's had your lived experience, and you viewing the world, or the way you view your world, is different than other people. And we forget that. We think, oh, someone's already said this, someone's already done that. But no, they haven't. So, yeah, man. I love you. Have a good one. Don't give up. Keep moving forward. Peace.